Swaggy Nation, Cowboys Nation, we're back. Been a little minute. There's a lot going on in the world when it comes to the Dallas Cowboys. This is the most moves I think we've made in a long time, more than I can remember, since I've been a fan and been keeping up with it. It's been really active. I feel like it's all due to new coaching staff, Mike McCarthy, like I said, bringing in new energy, bringing in a different mentality. Obviously, he's won the championship before, so I mean he knows the roster that he needs. He knows the coaching staff that he needs. He knows that communication is key when it comes to when it comes to knowing what you need in order to win, which is a huge part in the lack of success when it came to having Jason Garrett as a coach. And he does get a lot of hate, and I think it's understandable why he gets so much hate, because he couldn't get the job done. He did have good seasons, but at the end of the day, you have to win. And I've said that before, being the head coach of America's team, the Dallas Cowboys, you have to understand the responsibility, and you have to step up to the plate and be successful and follow in the footsteps of the great coaches in the past. And he failed to do that. But it's part of the game. It's the business. It's part of how the whole system works and how everything operates. But like I said, this offseason has been really active. We've done a lot. We had a lot of players leave. Travis Frederick retiring for health reasons. That's totally understandable. He will be missed. So I mean, there's no knock against him for retiring due to his health. He's got a family and wife, kids. So he was good for us while we had him, and he was well respected, and we honored him by paying his contract. So I think he'll have a good life outside of football, and I'm sure he might come back and be part of the coaching staff or something along the line. So I think he'll be around just because he retired. We lost Byron Jones. He went to the Dolphins and he got stupid overpaid. 5 years, $82 million. I don't know how much of that is guaranteed, but I'm so glad that we didn't resign him. He was a good player. I can't sit here and say that he wasn't a good player, but when it comes to being an elite cornerback in the NFL, you have to cause turnovers, and you have to be like that playmaker, and your name has to be called every game. I mean, he didn't get attacked a lot because he is a good lockdown corner, and he does his job, and he doesn't allow many big plays. So on that part, you have to thank him and salute him for doing his job. But when you think of corners and elite corners, you think of the Chan Baileys, the Ty Laws, the Richard Shermans, who else? The Darrelle Reeveses. I know these are past tense corners, but if you think of those players, you think of like making plays and just being somebody like Darius Slay. He just went to the Philadelphia Eagles, and he got paid. And I mean, he does his job, and he's elite, and he makes plays, he gets interceptions. I think Byron Jones had one career interception, so I mean, that kind of says something. He does his job, but at the same time, if I'm a defensive coordinator or a coach, I want a corner who's going to make a play and get turnovers. I think Jordan Lewis has more interceptions than Byron does, and Jordan Lewis plays like every now and then, or if he does, he plays in the slot. So if he gets his opportunities, he makes plays. So with him leaving, that doesn't hurt me that much. Robert Quinn, 5 years, $70 million to the Bears. I mean, we'll let him walk too. I have no issue with that. For the year that he was with us, He made a lot of plays. He was our leading sacker, I think. But when it comes to somebody who's that old, I mean, he's not elderly, but in the sense of being in the NFL and being an edge rusher, your body deteriorates and you're not as elite as what you once have been. So for $70 million, again, I don't know how much is guaranteed on all these contracts, but I mean, that one doesn't hurt for me either. Randall Cobb, I wish we would have kept him. He went to the Texans 3 years, $27 million. I mean, I'm sure we'll address the problem when it comes to our receiving core in the offseason, whether it be draft or we find a free agent. I mean, again, I wish we would have kept Randall Cobb. I've always been a Randall Cobb fan, and I kind of thought with Mike McCarthy coming in, we would be able to keep him because he coached them in Green Bay. But I mean, it's part of it. It's part of the business. And our receiving core is it's not deep, but we do have some players who haven't seen the field yet that I know can make plays and can be playmakers. But we'll address that problem, and we'll see if we address one in the draft. Jason Witten went to the Raiders, which I don't really understand. I'm sure he had a conversation with the coaching staff, with Blake Jarwin which we'll mention, being a player who kind of splashed onto the scene the last couple years, and we can see the playmaking abilities that he has, bringing some youth. So he got the vet max of $4.7 million. We lost Jeff Heath. He also went to the Raiders. I think Malik Collins went to the Raiders as well. Jeff Heath, Jeff Heath he was a good player. He made plays. His name was called a lot. But when it comes to safeties, again, for me personally, if I were to put together a team, I would get some kind of safety who playmakes, like Jamal Adams or like an Earl Thomas or a Cam Chancellor or somebody who's always in the play. His name is always being called. Turnovers. He can blitz, coverage, everything, run support. That's what I would want. And Jeff Heath did those things, and he did make plays. But I just think we can either address the problem in the draft, which I feel like we might, and we have a couple of safeties on the team already that have a chance to prove themselves and become that next guy for us and make that next step. Signings, free agency, Gerald McCoy, 3 years, $18.3 million. I like this move because our defensive line, I'm not sure if we re-signed Antoine Woods or not. I'm a big Antoine Woods fan. He's always in the play when he's in. He's big. He's a big guy. He takes up a lot of space, which obviously that's what you want out of a defensive tackle, which is what Gerald McCoy is. Although he's getting up there in age, I feel like that's a position where I feel like your experience can help you a lot because you know a lot, you've been around, you've seen things, and most of the time these guys are huge and strong. So I mean, if they don't skip a beat in the preparation phases, they typically don't miss a step. So we'll see how that goes. Dontari Poe, he's been around the league for a while. I know with the Chiefs he ran fullback a couple times, and you've seen the highlights. But I mean, that one I'm a little I'm not concerned, but we'll see how it goes. 3 years, $10.5 million. So I mean, I do like the additions, of course. I always want more help on the defensive line. So we'll see how that goes. HaHa Clinton Dix, 1 year, $4 million. Safety, which he's a playmaker. He's, I don't know if it's because of his name being HaHa Clinton Dix, which isn't his legal name, but that's what he goes for, or goes by. Sorry. So he can be a playmaker as a safety in the backfield, ball hawk, run support, all those things that you need out of a hybrid safety. So I'm pretty excited about that one, even though it's 1 year. It's like a test deal. I'm sure he'll leave next year, unless he's, insane and becomes like a superstar, which it's rare, but we'll see. I like that signing though. Maurice Canady, I don't know how to pronounce that name. I think we signed him from the Baltimore Ravens, 1 year, $950,000. So I think that's just to fill space. Blake Bell from the Chiefs, he played in the Super Bowl last year, 1 year, $1.7 million. I think we've got, which I'll get to the re-signing of Blake Jarwin. I think we have Dalton Schultz still on the roster, so I think we're sticking to that 3 tight end set. Greg the Leg Zuerlein, 3 years, $7.5 million. I guess that says something about Kai Forbath. I think he's on a leash maybe. He played really well last year, but I mean, Greg Zuerlein, why would you not get Greg Zuerlein? He beat us in the NFC Championship game, so I like that addition. I mean, it gives us some stability at kicking. For the most part, on paper, we know what Greg Zuerlein has done in the past, and we know what he's capable of, so hopefully it adds that element to our team and add the stability, so which we've been lacking a little bit. Re-sign, we've kept a lot of our in-house players, which is really good, really nice. I like that. I don't like having not necessarily a new team every year, but faces and places, rhyming accidentally, that are new. So re-signing in-house is nice. We re-signed Sean Lee for 1 year, $4.5 million. We know what Sean Lee has done, what he can bring if he stays healthy. So obviously we want to keep him on the team. And with Jalen Smith, Leighton Vander Esch, and our other linebacking core, obviously he can coach them and tell them the ways. So that's huge. We re-signed our long snapper. I think he's been on the team for like 20 years or something. We signed him to like a 1 year deal. Darian Thompson, safety. I've heard of him. Haven't seen much out of him. I've heard his name. Signed him 2 years, $2.8 million. So he's probably one of those players, along with Xavier Woods, who can try to take that next step and get onto the starting roster and make a name for himself. Anthony Brown. I like this signing a lot. I'm a huge fan of his. I'm sure he has his flaws, but for a corner in our system, I think he does a really good job. Sign him 3 years, $15.5 million. I like that signing. Joe Looney, 1 year, $2.4 million. Obviously, that's a huge signing because he will replace Travis Frederick at center, which he did whenever he was out, and he did actually a really good job. So I'm not necessarily stressing about the whole center situation, which I'm sure we'll address the backup situation in the draft. We typically always make sure we have linemen, and we always draft linemen in early rounds or mid rounds. I think we let a couple of our linemen go. Xavier Suafila, however you say his name, and Cameron Fleming, which Cameron Fleming I think is probably the worst lineman in the league. No disrespect, anything, but just go watch the Falcons game like two or 3 years ago. Just watch that film. You'll understand what I'm saying. Obviously, Amari Cooper is one of the biggest re-signings that we did. Whether it was either going to be tag Amari and sign Dak, or sign Dak, tag Amari, which I guess I'm glad that we signed him because Washington offered him money. He did say he wanted to be a Cowboy forever, but you know how that is when it comes to the media. Players just say things to say things, so who knows if it's... I'm sure it's true because he signed Dak to Dallas so he can be a Cowboy, but 5 years, $100 million, I'm not really sure how much guaranteed, but he's up there with the highest paid receivers now. Julio, AJ Green, Julian Edelman. I don't know if his guaranteed money makes him more paid than Michael Thomas. I'm sure it does because Michael Thomas got paid a couple years ago. So I don't know. I love Amari and he makes big plays, but sometimes he goes quiet and we don't hear from him. So that's a little bit concerning. But whenever he does make plays, we know what he can do. He's one of the best route runners in the league. He's really reliable. So obviously, for the part of needing a number one receiver, I like the signing. Blake Jarwin, like I mentioned, 4 years, $22 million. I'm a huge Blake Jarwin fan. I don't know if any of the other Cowboy Nation fans are Blake Jarwin fans, but every time he's on the field and he gets his name called, he makes a play. And that's a huge huge part of NFL teams' schemes now is a tight end who can play make and be a reliable guy. You know, the Travis Kelce's, the Rob Gronkowski's, the Zach Ertz, the Goddards. I can't remember his first name, but the Vance McDonald's, just go down the line. The guy from the Raiders, I can't remember his name either, but you need a tight end who can, big guy, takes up a lot of space, good route running, can catch the ball, run with it. So I like that. I like the Blake Jarwin signing. Kai Forbath, re-sign him for 1 year. He might be on a leash. I don't know. We'll see how that situation works. Joe Thomas, Justin March, and C.J. Goodwin. Joe Thomas, Justin March are our other two linebackers, and they play special teams, and they're sometimes on the field. So obviously we need depth at the linebacking position. C.J. Goodwin, I'm pretty sure he's a corner. These are guys that you don't necessarily hear of a lot because of the players that were in the system before, not seeing a lot of play time. These are special team players, I believe. And obviously the other important one is we tagged Dak. He's making $30.4 million this year, and I'm sure he will either get re-signed this season or next offseason. And when he gets paid, he's going to get paid. He's not going to make when Patrick Mahomes gets paid. He's not going to get Patrick Mahomes money because Patrick Mahomes is about to break the market, just something serious. He might get close to $200 million guaranteed because that's just how it works. He's the best quarterback in the game, so he'll break the market. But I think Dak will get up to probably close to 140, maybe close to Russell numbers. He'll get up there. I know when he gets paid, he'll get paid. A lot of Cowboys fans are saying trade him, try to get somebody in the draft to let him go, re-sign him or release him, do whatever. That's one thing that I don't necessarily understand because the quarterbacks that are available now, you can restart and get somebody who you think has more potential, but if you look at the numbers, Dak does his job. He's steadily getting better, and with Mike McCarthy coming in, he's coached Brett Favre, he's coached Aaron Rodgers, so the league is really dependent on a quarterback and head coach duo, and I just don't think Jason Garrett was that guy for Dak, and I think Mike McCarthy being in his ear is going to help him out a lot. Not new offense coordinator, but new coaches, Kellen Moore having another year, everybody getting to work together. I think Dak is ready to take that next step in his career. It's only going to be year 5, and that's one thing that people have to realize, that just because you draft a guy and he comes in and he starts and he has a good start doesn't mean that that's his ceiling. That doesn't necessarily mean that just because he shows you that flash of potential at first, and then the league starts to kind of figure him out, and then he has to refigure out how to adapt his game, get better, show improvement, practice, watch film, this, that, and the other, get chemistry with his receivers, his coaches, everything. It's a lot bigger than just going out there and performing. There's so much more that goes into it, and Dak is a huge example of practice makes perfect. He's well spoken, he's good with the media, he's a mature guy. He shows he works, he goes in, gets the job done. Yeah, he struggles. Maybe he overthrows a lot, whatever, but for the most part, when it comes down to it, when it's on the line, he usually gets the job done. And last year was kind of a disappointment, when it comes to performance-wise with the season, but I just feel like there was a lot of noise in the air, and I feel like there might have been tension with the team. Jason Garrett, the rumors of him being fired, this, that, and the other. Who knows? Who knows what really happened? Nobody will ever know. But it's a fresh start. We're kind of starting from scratch, not with the players, but with the coaching staff. And that's the biggest part, I think, in us taking that next step and being that elite team that we have the roster for. We've drafted very, very well the last 8-9 years. 8 years or so. We've drafted really well. We have the nucleus of our team. You know, we have the pieces that we need. And it's just coaching at this point, honestly. Like, that's the biggest thing, is coaching. And I think we have that. We've addressed those problems. We'll address our needs in the draft. And, you know, we've still got the whole offseason left to sign any players, you know, find the holes in the team that we need. And I think we'll be good. I think we'll take the next step. So this offseason, like I said, has been one of the best so far. I mean, it can only get better unless we lose somebody or whatever, knock on wood. But for the most part, this offseason's been really nice. And I hope the rest of Cowboys Nation understands that. And it's the only way is up from this point, man. I'm not saying we'll win the Super Bowl next year, but I'm just saying it'll be a new look next year, I think. And I'm pretty excited to see it, and I hope you guys are excited to see it. Appreciate whoever watched this, man. Just be patient with me. Try to get this thing rolling. Whatever news comes in, I'll let y'all know. Thanks for tuning in, man. Like, comment, subscribe. Tell your friends about me. Whatever. Appreciate you. Until next time, man. Swaggy Nation, we're out. Peace.